Welcome to another episode of Leading Las Vegas. I'm Danielle Ford of DanielleFord.com, where visibility makes a difference. And one person making a huge difference every day is my wonderful guest, Vital Germaine. We have known each other a while, and I'm telling you guys, hearing him speak, hearing his passion, his energy is just so inspiring. And I wanted to have him on the show to talk about several things, but especially his new revised book. I haven't read this one. I haven't read the 2.0, but I did read the 1.0.
Yes, you did.
And holy Bizzoli. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, okay, but this is a person that you need to understand the backstory of how he became so wonderful, and it will all make sense.
Yes.
But most importantly, that I think is interesting is how you came from London to America, joined Cirque du Soleil.
It was a fascinating story. But first of all, let me say thank you for having me on the show. I watched this show and I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for and what you promote. Yes, it was quite a fascinating story. It's not your everyday story about... Well, actually, it does relate to how we overcome... Everybody has challenges and obstacles we need to overcome. Some people's obstacles and challenges are bigger, are different
and bigger, yeah.
Just the challenge of coming from a different country to America, that unto itself is quite a huge obstacle. Navigating immigrations, figuring out how America works, leveraging the possibilities that this country really offers. And so part of the book is, how do you leverage your talent, your ability, your passion to drive you to achieve and succeed in whatever field you choose. So that's sort of the meat and potatoes of the book. And it also talks about my life in Cirque du Soleil.
Well, also, I don't want to go too deep into this because I want you guys to read it and really learn from a personal aspect of him through the book about his story in his childhood. But being able to immigrate here from another country is great, but not everybody can even get there. The fact that you overcame so many obstacles and setbacks and things that most people would take as I could never do that in their lives. That's already like a huge win. That's very impressive. So that you set yourself up for that opportunity by persevering, and that is truly inspiring.
Well, I mean, a big component of the story, which I know that it's changing people's lives. I mean, I'm very honored to say that the book has been called a life changer, a must read. It really comes down to, for me, several components. And the first one that I start with, I think it's to do with our attitude. We all face challenges, but how do you overcome the challenge? Do you become a victim of that situation? Or do you find the wherewithal, the strength within you to just determine, regardless of situation or circumstance, I am going to pursue and achieve my objectives? Mm-hmm. And so attitude for me is the foundation of all success.
I love that. I mean, that's going to be a quote. Absolutely.
Attitude is the foundation of all success. And then there are other elements that come into play. There's perseverance. There's leveraging your creativity. There's belief in that you can become whatever it is that you're striving for. Mm-hmm. There's the passion. There's the sense of purpose. All these elements, put them together, and it sort of doesn't guarantee success, but it definitely increases the odds. And so the book talks about some of those elements.
Absolutely. And then your transition into Cirque du Soleil and some hilarious stories about that you have to read to get the full picture of that, and some stuff with underwear and tights and things that I'm not going to go into right now. But the visual has stuck with me. I love that. And then how did you, once you came over here, you joined Cirque du Soleil, you had crazy cool success with that. You're in this really awesome, unique niche here in Vegas. How did you transition into what you're doing now? And can you talk a little bit more about what you are doing now?
Yes, so I basically went from an acrobat who's defying death on a nightly basis to a motivational speaker and a corporate trainer. And a lot of people sort of try to think, well, I don't see the connection. How does that work? So as I left Cirque du Soleil, it actually happened through a career-ending injury. And then I went through a couple of years of woe is Vital, why did this happen to me? And then I started to sort of step away from the woe is Vital story and start to understand, no, this is now an opportunity. Mm-hmm. So again, it goes back to the attitude. Challenge, opportunity. I focused on the opportunity. And then I took a sort of a time out to be very introspective and understand, well, throughout my life, whether it was as a performer in Cirque du Soleil, as a team captain, what have I really been doing in all these different stages? And the through line was, in every capacity, whether it was as a we call it primary school. I think you call it elementary school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so even at elementary school, I was sort of like the class captain. And then I realized that my through line has been leadership, and I've always had this desire where I wanted to inspire and empower people.
Mm.
And so that was my through line. And I did that at Cirque. And then so it was a question of, okay, I've got this really rich experience in terms of delivering excellence, customer experience, team dynamics, leadership, inspiration, motivation. And I thought, okay, how do I leverage that experience? So it was a question of translating what I did as an acrobat on a stage to turning them into actionable tools that corporations can benefit from. So that
That's
unto itself was a
amazing.
challenge, but that was kind of the process.
What kind of things do you speak about to corporations? Like what kind of topics? I know that you have your whole thing kind of finagled, but like how exactly how?
The main topics are team dynamics.
Okay.
So again, going back to the Cirque du Soleil experience, I literally experienced and lived and witnessed what does it take to turn a team great?
Okay.
How do you take individuals from different cultural backgrounds, different languages, take their individual talents, and then bring it all together to create something amazing? And that's one of the big challenges that corporations have. How do I optimize my team?
Mm-hmm.
And I, again, have some of those tools that I learned. Leadership, how do you inspire a performer who is already great, but how do you inspire him or empower him to become amazing, to become extraordinary?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I experienced that. I now package that and share that with organizations.
I love that.
Then there's customer experience. How do you, as with your product, how do you minimize a customer's pain points? How do you make them feel good about doing business with your brand?
Mm-hmm.
All those things come into play. And then the ultimate one is creativity.
Right, which is the red nose that you'll see in
Yes.
your headshots and
Yes.
across your marketing stuff.
Yes.
What? So is that the red nose? Is that what that symbolizes? Like creativity and
It
play?
symbolizes a lot of things, but ultimately what that red nose does, and strangely enough, it's my differentiator. It's sort of what I've now
Totally.
using as my visual hammer, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's always the things that customers in the beginning are sort of like, we don't quite get the red nose part. And then by the end of the keynote or by the end of the training, they're like, you know what, that red nose,
Perfect.
it's perfect. And a year later, I get comments from customers or clients who say that red nose, we still use it. It's still a part of our culture now. We use it at meetings. It's a reminder of what you taught us.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's a great reward. But ultimately, the red nose, it's about putting down your inhibitions. It's about being childlike. It's about being free. And when those elements come into play, people thrive.
I think that's the most interesting because you focus on corporations.
Yes.
And when you think of corporation, you don't think of playful and childlike.
No.
So to be able to connect those two and to be able to like break through to into the corporate mindset is really, really amazing. This book, who would you say it's for? This isn't necessarily like the same type of thing you teach in your corporate workshops.
No. There are fundamental takeaways in the book that apply to individuals within an organization.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the meat of my talks are not focused on what the book really talks about. It's not a book about leadership and customer experience and team dynamics. What it is a book about is hope, belief, energizing, revitalizing people to want to become better versions of themselves. So if you take an individual employee in your organization, if you can inspire them to want to grow, want to be better, be open to change as an organization, you're ultimately going to benefit.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Where can people get the book if they want to order a copy? And I suggest it, Flying Without a Net, which is an amazing title, by the way.
Thank you. It's a metaphor. I mean, it ties into the Cirque du Soleil.
I get it.
I literally did fly without a net, so I do love the title. Thank you for that. They can find the book on my website at vitalgermaine.com, or they can go to Amazon.
Okay, cool. And then how can they connect with you on social media if they have more questions?
You can find me again at vitalgermaine.com, and you can find me on Instagram. On Twitter, it's my business handle, which is engageteams.com. Everything else is Vital Germaine, Facebook, Instagram.
What would you say is the number one takeaway for somebody, the person who needs to read your book, who might be feeling a little bit low on themselves, down in the dumps? What would you say would be the number one takeaway for them to do right now or to know going forward?
One of the tools that I implemented along my journey when I experienced doubt or I felt that I don't know what to do next, I'm stuck, is I would take the time to, and people will often say, don't live in the past. But what I would often do is I looked in the rearview mirror,
Mm.
just as a reminder, okay, that's how far I've come. And I can see all the challenges that I overcame. Why would I stop now?
Mm-hmm.
I can see the journey. If I can overcome these challenges, I can overcome whatever the future holds. And so I leverage my challenges as momentum to keep me moving forward.
I love that. I think that I do this. I'm sure it's totally normal for you to look towards the future and it's so far and the things you want seem so out of reach, but you're absolutely right. When you look at how far you've come,
Yes.
It's like, obviously that this journey is possible with what I went through already.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like you're almost at the top of Mount Everest and then you look back and think, oh my God, I've come this far.
Yeah.
I can do this last mile. I have to do this last mile.
Yeah, even if you're halfway there, you're
Yes.
like, that wasn't so hard. It seemed hard when I was at the bottom.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for coming on the show and inspiring and educating our audience. Really, really appreciate it. You guys definitely, once again, I can't tell you how amazing this book is, Flying Without a Net. Go check it out. I'll put some links below. And reach out to Vital if you have any more questions or want to connect. I suggest that as well. This has been another episode of Leading Las Vegas. And I'm Danielle Ford once again, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys. If you loved this episode of Leading Las Vegas, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe. You can also watch more episodes like this here or on leadinglasvegas.com.